Listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you could save you from the most expensive mistake of your life. There are 7 types of men who are fundamentally incapable of loyalty. Not confused, not still growing, not figuring themselves out. Incapable. And the most dangerous part? They don't look dangerous in the beginning. They are charming, attentive, intentional. They are incredibly skilled at hiding who they are until you are emotionally invested, financially entangled, or legally bound to them. By the time you realize the pattern, leaving feels complicated. By the time you see the truth, you've already built dreams around him. By the time it cracks, it doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes your future. By the end of this, you'll have a mental checklist, not to make you paranoid, but to make you protected. Because right now, you might be dealing with one of these men. And if you are, every promise, every "I love you," every conversation about building a life together is sitting on a fault line. The only question is whether you'll see it before it fractures. Let's begin. 1. The serial upgrader. This man is always scanning, not casually noticing other women. Scanning. His brain runs on comparison. He measures you against every woman he meets. Beauty, status, influence, access, lifestyle, connections. You are not his partner. You are his current best option, until a better one appears. You'll notice it subtly at first. He keeps harmless connections with women who clearly want him. He doesn't shut down flirtation completely. He keeps it warm, just in case. Around certain women, he changes. His posture sharpens. His voice lowers slightly. His energy becomes more alert. It's instinctual. He doesn't even realize he's doing it. Watch how he talks about his exes. Is there a visible progression? Each one more attractive, more socially powerful, more aligned with his public image. He doesn't speak of love, he speaks of upgrades. He frames relationships like career moves, strategic, calculated, beneficial. When he cheats, he rarely leaves first. He secures the replacement. The emotional affair begins quietly. Private jokes that don't include you. Late night just talking. Confiding in another woman about problems he stopped discussing with you. The intimacy shifts before the body does. Then comes the physical betrayal. Then the exit. And within days, sometimes weeks, he's publicly with the woman he told you not to worry about. It will look sudden, but it wasn't. He was negotiating his next move while you were building a future. You weren't the one. You were the placeholder. 2. The unhealed trauma reactor. This man has unresolved trauma he refuses to confront. Childhood wounds, abandonment, emotional neglect, past betrayal, years of toxic chaos. But instead of healing, he builds identity on top of the damage. He'll tell you early, "I've been through a lot. My ex messed me up. I have trust issues." And vulnerability can feel intimate. But listen carefully. Does he take responsibility, or does he use his trauma as justification? He reacts intensely to minor disagreements. A simple conversation becomes, "Maybe this won't work." He oscillates between closeness and distance. One week he's emotionally fused to you, the next withdrawn and cold. Stability triggers him. When the relationship feels calm, secure, consistent, his nervous system reads it as unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe, because chaos is what he understands. So he sabotages, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, sometimes through cheating. Not because you weren't enough, but because peace feels suspicious to someone wired for instability. To him, calm feels like the quiet before abandonment, so he creates the storm first. 3. The performative loyalist. This one is subtle and extremely convincing. He talks about loyalty constantly, posts quotes about real men protecting their women, criticizes cheaters publicly, lectures about values, respect, and standards. But it's theater. He's attached to the image of loyalty, not the discipline required to practice it. Watch the contradictions. He says he hates disloyalty, but keeps exes orbiting as friends. He claims he respects relationships, but entertains flirtation instead of shutting it down. He insists he doesn't play games, but enjoys being pursued. He wants to be perceived as a good man, and perception becomes more important than integrity. When he cheats, the denial is intense. Gaslighting, deflection, narrative twisting. He will rewrite events before he admits fault, because admitting it destroys the persona he's built. He doesn't protect the relationship, he protects his reputation, and that's the difference. And here's the truth. The first three types are men who are always looking for upgrades, looking for escape, looking for admiration. But the next two are men who are always needing validation, needing stimulation, needing ideological justification. And that kind of hunger is far more dangerous, because when someone cannot regulate themselves internally, they will always look outward to fill the void.
The men who always need more. We've covered the men who scan and perform. Now let's talk about the men who are never internally satisfied. Because loyalty requires something most people overlook: internal stability, self-regulation, the ability to feel secure without constant stimulation. These men don't have that. They don't cheat because you failed. They cheat because enough doesn't register in their nervous system. 4. The Validation Addict. This man cannot survive on one woman's admiration, not long-term, not consistently, no matter how much you love him, no matter how loyal you are, no matter how attractive you are. Your attention fades with familiarity, and familiarity feels like invisibility to him. At first, he seems confident, charismatic, magnetic. But watch closely. His confidence spikes when he's being watched. His mood improves when other women compliment him. He posts gym photos that look casual but are strategically framed. He leaves flirty comments unanswered, not because he respects you, but because he enjoys the suspense. His DMs never fully close. In public, he subtly scans the room to see who notices him. And when a woman does, there's a shift. His posture straightens, his voice deepens, his energy sharpens. That spark in his eyes isn't confidence, it's a dependency. He is externally powered. Your validation becomes the baseline, predictable, expected. But new admiration? That's a surge. That's dopamine. That's proof he still has it. He doesn't cheat because you weren't enough. He cheats because novelty hits harder than comfort. And addiction escalates. What used to be harmless flirting becomes secret conversations. What used to be secret conversations becomes, it just happened. He isn't trying to hurt you. He's trying to regulate himself. And when self-worth depends on outside applause, one audience is never enough. 5. The ideological justifier. This man doesn't struggle with loyalty. He debates it. He'll agree to exclusivity. He'll say he's committed. But internally, he sees monogamy as negotiable, temporary, optional. He'll say things like, "Men are wired to spread their seed. It's just biology. Sex doesn't mean the same thing to us." Notice the language. He reframes betrayal as instinct. He reframes impulse as evolution. He reframes selfishness as masculine nature.
He wants the benefits of your loyalty, your consistency, your emotional support, your exclusivity, but he does not believe he owes you the same standard. When he cheats, the rationalizations are immediate. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical. You're overreacting. Why are you making this bigger than it is? He doesn't feel guilty. He feels misunderstood. Because in his mind, he never truly agreed to the rules. He agreed to the arrangement, and there's a difference. What makes him dangerous isn't impulse, it's an entitlement. Guilt restrains behavior. Entitlement fuels it. And a man who believes he is biologically justified will always find a reason to cross the line again. The next two types, they don't cheat for ego. They don't cheat for validation. They cheat for intensity, for adrenaline, for emotional chaos. And that kind of wiring is even harder to outgrow. Because when someone confuses peace with boredom, they will always try to set something on fire just to feel alive.
The men who crave chaos. Loyalty requires emotional regulation, the ability to tolerate boredom, to handle discomfort, to sit with stability without needing to disrupt it. These men don't have that skill, and without it, commitment becomes a cage. 6. The chaos seeker. Calm feels empty to him. Peace feels boring. Consistency feels suspicious. Somewhere in his wiring, whether from childhood dysfunction, unstable relationships, or years of emotional volatility, he learned to associate love with intensity. Raised voices, jealousy, passion that feels explosive, makeups after dramatic fights. In his mind, drama equals connection. So when your relationship stabilizes, when communication becomes healthy, when arguments become rare, his nervous system doesn't relax, it panics. Because calm doesn't register as safety, it registers as a lack of stimulation. And he starts testing. Small provocations at first, flirting publicly just enough for you to notice, mentioning another woman's attention casually, withholding affection to see how you react. If you respond emotionally, he calls you insecure. If you stay calm, he escalates. He picks fights over nothing, creates tension where none exists, accuses you of being distant when you're simply stable. Eventually, manufactured conflict isn't enough. He seeks someone who brings volatility naturally, often someone toxic, emotionally unpredictable, unavailable, someone who triggers jealousy, competition, intensity. Because chaos feels alive, it gives him adrenaline, it makes his heart race. He mistakes that rush for passion. He doesn't cheat because he stopped caring. He cheats because calm doesn't stimulate him. And until he learns to redefine love as safety instead of fireworks, he will always be tempted by instability. 7. The reformed player. He lived for variety, years of casual encounters, no attachment, no accountability, no long-term consequences. Every new woman was novelty. Every flirtation was ego reinforcement. Every weekend was excitement. Now he says he's ready to settle down. Maybe he genuinely believes it, but desire and wiring are not the same. His brain has been conditioned for dopamine spikes, new bodies, new validation, new pursuit. Long-term consistency feels unfamiliar, even restrictive. Watch how quickly he moves. He rushes commitment, big promises early, fast emotional intensity, not because of depth, because of urgency. He wants stability before temptation resurfaces. But here's the issue. He changed his intention. He didn't change his habits. He didn't build discipline. He didn't sit alone long enough to rewire his patterns. So when routine replaces thrill, when life becomes predictable, when another woman shows interest, old neural pathways light up, and in a weak moment, he reverts. Because he renamed himself, he didn't rebuild himself. Here's the final truth.
These men are not incapable because they made mistakes. They are incapable because they refuse internal work. Growth requires discomfort, reflection, accountability. Patterns predict outcomes. If he strongly fits multiple traits from one type, you are not paranoid for walking away. You are perceptive. He might care about you. He might want it to work, but capacity matters more than intention. Loyalty is not a feeling. It is emotional discipline over time. It is self-control when no one is watching, and some men simply never develop it. Observe patterns, trust behavior over promises, because the woman who ignores red flags doesn't get rewarded for hope, she gets the lesson. Awareness is protection, and protection is power.